Hello everyone, Jameson, Alex, Urge, we're back with another series from the book, Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. This one will be our favorite monsters from the book. We did kind of a top 5 without ranking them in a particular order, with a fun little honorable mention thrown in there.
Yes.
But before we get to the list of monsters, we're doing not one but 2 giveaways. First of all, for the book specific, we're going to give away a D&D version, D&D Beyond version of the book we're talking about, Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below for a chance to enter into that giveaway, and you can do so on every video that's tied to the book for extra chances. Also, going through the bigger scheme of things, there is the Big Players Bundle giveaway from D&D Beyond, which is 4 books, which covers a grand majority of the player creation stuff, and that's going to be given away when we hit 10,000 subscribers. Without any further ado, keep this sucker blocked in. We're going to start off with our honorable mention for the best monsters from Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft.
Yes, starting off the party here, we have the old Gremishka.
The Gremishka.
It's a little, monstrosity, devil-looking cat thing. So with these guys...
evil-looking suckers.
There's 2 parts to it. So first off, it's a 1/8 CR.
You're thinking,
What?
Right.
But wait, there's more.
There's more.
It has a bite. All right, cool. Reaction. This is where it gets good.
This is where it's fun.
Magic allergy. 1 a day.
Yes.
Immediately after a creature within 30 feet of the Gremishka casts a spell, the Gremishka can spontaneously react to the magic. Roll a d6 to determine the effect. A 1 and a 2. Each creature within 30 feet of the Gremishka must succeed on a DC 10 con save or take 1d6 force damage. On a 3 or 4, it surges with magical energy and regains 1d6 hit points. On a 5 or 6... That's where the party happens.
Yes.
The Gremishka explodes and dies, and one swarm of Gremishkas instantly appears in its space where it died. The swarm uses the Gremishka's initiative. So, first of all, you're in this encounter. You're not going to have just one. You're going to have 4 or 5 of them out there. Just to
because they're CR1.
You see these little things nibbling at their ankles. And just kill the stupid thing. One of them explodes. You get one of these bad boys out. Swarm of these little boys.
And I bring up the fact it explodes. So I go into the laws of matter here. How are you fitting a swarm of these things inside one?
There's a bunch of little ones inside of it.
Magic.
Don't think about it. So with the swarm of Gremishkas, first of all, let's just take a quick look at the condition immunities, which is all of them.
Yes.
Charmed, frightened, grappled, paralyzed, petrified, prone, restrained, stun.
Because it's a swarm.
And it's resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage.
Yep.
On top of that, the fun part of it, limited spell immunity.
You heard it.
The swarm automatically succeeds on saving throws against spells of 3rd level or lower, and the attack rolls of such spells always miss. Are you kidding me? This is a 2 CR, by the way.
Yep.
With the swarm, it can occupy another speaker's space, and vice versa. The swarm can move through any opening large enough for a tiny Gremishka. The swarm can't regain hit points or gain temporary hit points, because technically you're killing off little ones of them at a time. You're not just hurting one and healing. So, anyways, you have your bite, +4 to hit. Just does some decent damage on here, whatever. Reactions. Spell redirection. In response to a spell attack roll missing the swarm, and remember, if it's a 3rd level or lower, it automatically misses. The swarm causes the spell to hit another creature of its choice within 30 feet of it that it can see. No roll, no save, it just hits it if they miss. So even if they roll a higher level spell, which they probably won't have because it's only a CR2, I mean, how high are you going to be fighting these things?
By far the longest explanation we've ever given for an honorable mention on a monster list.
Because it's hilarious.
But it's freaking hilarious. Immediately throw all of those at your party. I get their opening night of the campaign, episode 1. 4 of these little rough-looking, scary cat things are gnawing on some trash out in the alley.
Yeah.
One of them explodes into an army. Fantastic. So, on to the actual list, after we get past our honorable mention, starting off with a CR6 of the Gallows Speaker. Not a very high AC, just 12, 85 average hit points. Resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, non-magical attacks. Immune to necrotic and poison. Also, condition immunities. This is a recurring theme in this book. Yes. Charm, exhaustion, frightened, grappled, paralyzed, petrified, poison, prone, restrained. Has true sight. And then we get to the interesting stuff. Because none of that's all just normal stuff. It can see 60 feet into the ethereal plane when it's on the material plane, and vice versa. That's a very interesting little thing that can see both ways. I'm thinking Gallows Speaker. I'm thinking the ferryman across the river Styx from Greek mythology, kind of like flows between the realm of the living and the dead kind of thing. Very, very nice. Incorporeal movement, so he can move through other creatures and other objects of difficult terrain. Cool, and being undead doesn't require air, food, drink, sure. Then the fun actions, and part of the things I was looking for when I was making my entries on the list. What are some unique abilities we haven't seen from other places? It has a melee spell attack that does psychic damage. Not a ton of damage, 2d10, which is not a lot of damage for a CR6 to do. But it is psychic damage, so very hard to resist. The target must roll a d4 and subtract the number rolled for its next attack roll or saving throw it makes before the start of the Gallows Speaker's next turn.
Yes.
So you're taking that damage and you get the debuff. Or it targets a creature within 30 feet of it. The target must make a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw, so not awful, but it's for some it might be challenging. On a failed save, it's 3d12 psychic damage. And waves of painful memories leap from that target to up to 3 other creatures of the Gallows Speaker choice that are within 30 feet of it, of which each take 3d8 psychic damage. Yeah, so if the first person fails the saving throw, it's taking the damage, and 3 other people are going to take damage they don't get to save for. Yeah. So that's an interesting little like chain lightning, but it's a chain scary dreams psychic damage ability.
Yeah. Definitely scary on that one.
Yeah, so throw like 1 or 2 of these out there with like something that's just big to absorb damage for them, so they can be not being.
Even put 2 of them out there, and they have different counts on the initiative order, and they give subtraction, and then that one uses the chain on it, and they just keep attacking each other's. It's pretty gross.
Yep.
Also at level 6 CR, we have the Priest of Osybus.
Yes.
These guys are pretty interesting. On here, they have the Tattoo of Osybus. If the priest drops to 0 hit points, roll on the Boons of Undeath table for the boon the priest receives. We'll get there in a minute. The priest dies if it receives a boon it already had. If it receives a new boon, it revives at the start of its next turn with half its hit points restored, and its creature type is now undead. To prevent the revival, the Tattoo of Osybus on the priest's body must be destroyed. The tattoo is invulnerable while the priest is at least 1 hit point. The tattoo is otherwise an object with 15 AC. And it is immune to the poison and psychic damage. It has 15 hit points, but it regains all its hit points at the end of every combatant's turn. So
you got to be able to knock it out in 1 turn.
Yes. So it also gets multi-attack. So 2 little attacks on here. And we have a Soul Blade melee weapon attack, and we have a Necrotic Bolt range spell attack, dealing some decent damage on here. The Necrotic Bolt does, +7, it's a little bit better range. And the target can't regain hit points until the start of the priest's next turn, which, that can be a nuisance in and of itself. But the Soul Blade, yikes. If the target is a creature, when it's hit, it is paralyzed until the start of the priest's next turn. If the damage reduces a medium or smaller creature to 0 hit points, the creature dies, and the soul is trapped in the priest's body, manifesting as a shadowy soul tattoo on the priest. The soul is freed if the priest dies. So
that's fun.
Say your friend dies, they get sucked into a tattoo on their body, try to revivify them. You can't because the soul's not there. It's in the tattoo on the dude. So you got to kill the dude before you can revive your friend.
Correct.
Fun stuff. And then we have a bonus action because why not? Soul Tattoo recharges on a 5 or a 6. Priest touches one of the soul tattoos on its body. Tattoo vanishes as a trapped soul manifests as a shadowy creature that appears in an unoccupied space the priest can see within 30 feet. The creature has the size and silhouette of its original body, but it otherwise has stat block of a shadow. Shadow obeys the priest's mental commands. No action required, and takes its turn immediately after the priest. If the creature is within 5 feet of the priest, it can turn back into a tattoo as an action, reappearing on the priest's flesh and regaining all its hit points. Yikes.
Yikes.
And then actually looking at the Boons of Undeath table on here, there are 6 options on here. So roll a d6. First is Dread. Eerie whispers can be now heard around the priest. Any non-undead creature that it starts its turn within 30 feet of the priest must succeed a 15 wisdom saving throw or be frightened of the priest until the start of the creature's next turn.
Okay.
Yeah, every turn. Good luck with that. Ectoplasmic at a 2. When any creature starts its turn within 10 feet of the priest can reduce that creature's speed by 10 feet until the start of the creature's next turn, until which the creature is covered by ectoplasm. In addition, as an action, the priest can use the slime to make itself look and feel like any creature that is medium or small while retaining its game statistics. This transformation lasts for 8 hours or until the priest drops to 0 hit points. On a 3, we get Vampiric. When the priest deals necrotic damage, The priest gains a number of temporary hit points equal to half of the necrotic damage. The priest's speed also increases by 10 feet. At a 4, we get blazing. Priest sloughs off its flesh, leaving only its skull, and the skeleton crumbles away. Its stat block is replaced by that of a flame skull, but it retains its tattoo of Osybus trait, and all fire damage it deals becomes necrotic damage. The tattoo of Osybus now appears carved into the skull's forehead. On a 5, we get spectral. The priest now appears wraith-like. Challenge rating increases by 1. Gains resistance to all damage but force, radiant, and psychic, and it is vulnerable to radiant damage. You can also move through creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain, but it takes 1d10 force damage if it ends its turn inside a creature or an object. And then lastly, we have Deathly. Priest's visage becomes bone white. Its challenge rating increases by 1. It can cast Animate Dead and Create Undead once per day each, using intelligence as a spellcasting ability. Gains the following action: Circle of Death.
So keep in mind, all those abilities, if you're really unlucky of a party, that priest might get all 6 of those buffs.
That'd be pretty gross.
It'd be pretty bonkers.
Yeah. So,
but it's one of those things. You know you're going to fight it at least 1.5 times. Because the first time it dies, it's not going to get a death ability that it didn't already have beforehand.
Right.
So, because it's one of those things like if you don't metagame, you're not going to know you have to kill the tattoo, destroy the tattoo before it comes back.
And then some guy's like, "Oh, watch out for those tattooed ones," or something. Something.
Unless somebody gives you a heads up ahead of time. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're weird creatures. Next up on our list is the Bodytaker Plant.
Yeah.
AC 16, nothing too bad. 92 average hit points, CR of 7, speed of 10 feet, climb of 10 feet, and a swim of 10 feet. She's slow, but she makes up for it because she's long. Got some condition immunities like normal? I know, I get him every time. Telepathy and D-speech for languages, that's kind of fun. Podling Link. A plant can see through and communicate telepathically with any of its podlings within 10 miles of it.
It knows what's going on.
10 miles. You'll figure out what a podling is here in a minute. Rejuvenation. This is kind of fun. When the plant dies, it returns to life in the place where it died 1d12 months later, unless the ground was sown with salt or soaked with poison. That's kind of fun. Attacks. Multi-attack makes not 1, not 2, but 3 Vine Lash attacks. Yeah. Plus 7 to hit. You remember the slow movement speed? Try a 20-foot reach to make up for it.
Yeah.
2d6 plus 4 slashing damage. If the target is a creature, it is grappled.
Got him.
No saving throw to get out of there initially. But then there is an escape DC on your turn. You can try to break out. Until the grapple ends, the creature is restrained. The plant has 4 vines, each of which it can grapple 1 target at a time. So your party is 4, it can hold all 4 of you at once. Now we get to the fun stuff. Entrapping Pod. Melee weapon attack of plus 7, reach of 5 feet. 1 medium or smaller creature grappled by the plant, so it's got to hit you.
And while you're grappled, your restraint's going to have advantage, so...
That's how this works. And it can't even use this ability until you're grappled to start with, so that matters. Take 4d8 plus 4 acid damage, and the target is pulled into the plant space and enveloped by the pod. And the grapple ends. Hey, the grapple ends. Excellent.
But wait.
While enveloped, the target is restrained. Oh, wait a minute.
You go from grappling restrained to just restrained.
Excellent. It has total cover against attacks and effects originating outside the pod. Well, that doesn't seem too bad. The enveloped target must also immediately see a DC 16 con saving throw or be stunned. Oh, wait a minute. By the plant's sapping enzymes until it's removed from the pod or the plant dies. The enveloped target doesn't require air and gains 1 level of exhaustion for each hour it spends in the pod. If the target dies while enveloped, it immediately emerges from the pod as a living podling. Remember the communicating telepathically with podlings 10 miles away? Here's how you get them. Wearing or carrying all the original creature's equipment. As an action, a creature within 5 feet of the Bodytaker plant that is outside the pod can open a pod and pull the target free with a successful DC 15 strength check. If the plant dies, the target is no longer restrained and can escape from the pod by spending 10 feet of movement, exiting prone. If the plant has 1 pod, which can envelop 1 creature at a time. So it can grapple 4 people, but can only envelop 1 person in the pod
at a time.
So lots of fun things, like a plant eating people and holding on to people, and then you can tuck you in there.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
So it's pretty fun.
Good one on there. Then we have where things started getting a little scary. We have the Jiangshi. Again, some nice immunities on here, but some interesting characteristics on here. One being the weaknesses of the Jiangshi. Has the following flaws. Fear of its own reflection.
There's a reason for that. The picture is ugly.
Yeah, he's a... If Jiangshi sees its own reflection, it immediately uses its reaction, if available, to move as far away from the reflection as possible. He's ugly. And you know it.
He's scared.
Susceptible to holy symbols. While Jiangshi is wearing or touching a holy symbol, it automatically fails saving throws against effects that turn undead.
Well, how would it be wearing a holy symbol? That would be kind of clever if you found it. I mean,
put it on. How would you know that?
Yeah, it's how you just spend your whole action just to do. Hold this, please.
Yeah. There it goes. Then we have multi-attacks with the action on here. Uses 3 slam attacks and uses consume energy. So you're going to get 4 attacks on here.
Woof.
The attacks are decent amount of damage, whatever. That's not what matters.
Nope.
Consume energy.
That's what matters.
Jiangshi draws energy from a creature it can see within 30 feet of it. Target makes a DC 16 con save, taking 48 necrotic damage on a failed save, or half as much on a success. Jiangshi regains hit points equal to the amount of necrotic damage dealt. It regains all of it.
Yes.
After regaining hit points from this action, the Jiangshi gains the following benefits for 7 days. Its walking speed increases to 40 feet. It gains flying speed to its walking speed and can hover.
Yes.
Humanoid slain by the necrotic damage rises as a white at the end of the Jiangshi's turn. The white acts immediately after the Jiangshi in the initiative order. If the white slays a humanoid with its life drain, it transforms into a Jiangshi 5 days later. Yay.
So if you're hunting in some town, they've been haunted by these evil creatures, and there's a bunch of them, you better deal with all of them, because otherwise there's going to be more of them.
Yeah, they'll be turning more stuff into other stuff, so it's kind of freaky. This one's more... That's a freaky one right there.
Yes, it is. And finally, we cap the list off with, do you ever wish that a very common creature, a well-known creature from lore, and it's a common, but a well-known creature from lore, from movies and film and legend, was not just one, but a whole race of creatures. And there was a bunch of them. Headless Horseman, meet Dullahan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, with a decent AC of 16 and a 3-digit hit point average, a CR of 10. It's got cold lightning and poison resistances, so some nice elemental damages. Good to split on the stat block. And we're starting off with fun abilities right out the gate. Headless Summoning recharges after a short or long rest. If the Dullahan is reduced to 0 hit points, it does not die or fall unconscious. Instead, it regains 97 hit points. In addition, it summons 3 Death's Heads, one of each type, as unoccupied space within 5 feet of it. The Death's Heads are under the Dullahan's control and act immediately after the Dullahan initiative order. Additionally, the Dullahan can now use the options in the Mythic Action section.
That's right.
Award the party an additional XP for defeating the Dullahan if it uses Headless Summoning. So, Mythic Actions are a very, very rare thing. That's very, very rare, because it's basically if you defeat it, it comes back and it's more, this is not even my true form. And then here you go. We get to go to the big boy thing. Does have 2 uses of legendary resistance, and because it's undead, doesn't require air, food, and drinking and sleeping. Who does that anyway? 2 attacks. Yeah, who sleeps? Makes 2 attacks with multi-attack. You have the Battle Axe. You also have the Fiery Skull. So one's the ranged with a range of 120 feet. Fiery Skull throws a Fiery Skull that explodes. Great. Love it. Love the flavor of that. But, of course, Battle Axe is important because got hit. We got some slashing damage, plus some necrotic damage. And if the Dullahan scores a critical hit against the creature target, makes a DC 15 saving throw, or the Dullahan just straight up cuts off the target's head, the target dies if it can't survive without the lost head. Creature that doesn't have or need a head or its legendary action, instead it takes an extra 68 slashing damage.
Woo!
Woo! You better hope he don't get that cripple.
You got that Vorpal sword, man.
Yeah. So if you're playing somebody who's allowed to force rerolls on a creature's attack, if there's ever a time to force
or
it.
a Grave Cleric.
Yeah.
Cancel that crit, please. Get that out.
Yeah, because I don't care what any creature does with a one-shot and a bunch of damage you can do. This is just, I don't care what your health total is, 0.
You dead.
You dead. You zeroed. Then we get to legendary actions. We've got 3. It can straight up make an attack. Cost 1. Sounds great. Frightful Presence. Any creatures or creatures of its choice within 30 feet make a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw, be frightened. So not too bad of a save for a CR10, but it's there. Finally, we have Headhunt. Does that sound familiar? It should. moves up to its speed without rolling opportunity attacks, and makes one battle axe attack with advantage.
Oh no.
If the attack hits, but it's not a critical hit, the attack still deals an extra 68 necrotic damage. So it's like, oh, there's a wizard that has no health? Come on, son.
He's hunting for that head.
He's gonna come get it. Then we have the mythic actions, because there's more here. Coordinated Assault. The Dullahan makes a battle axe attack, and then one Death's Head, and the Dullahan can see within 30 feet of it, can use its reaction to make a melee attack. So basically it's letting one of his little bitty puppet friends get an extra attack in there. And then you have the Headless Wail, an echoing shriek, issued from the Dullahan's headless stump. Where does that sound come from, man? That's weird. Each creature of the Dullahan choice within 10 feet must make a DC 15 Wisdom saving throw. Each creature takes 3d10 psychic damage on a failed save or half on a successful one. If one or more creatures fail the saving throw, the Dullahan gains 10 temporary hit points.
And, as a side note on here, the actual Death's Head themselves.
Ah, yes, the little friends.
The 3 variations. One, just is going to... I mean, they're all half CR, so nothing crazy. But it is +3 to hit for 1, and they do necrotic 2d6 necrotic damage. Sure, whatever. Plus 1d6, plus 1 piercing damage. Or the Mind-Bending Bite from the second head. Deals some damage on there. Again, +3 to hit, whatever. Deals 1d10 necrotic damage. Target must succeed a DC 10 Intelligence saving throw.
That's terrifying.
Use reaction until the end of its next turn. Moreover, on its next turn, the target must choose whether it gets to move, an action, or a bonus action, and it only gets 1. So, it is intelligence save, so even if it is a low save, it's still an intelligence save.
Yeah, if you're not a wizard or an artificer.
You probably don't care too much about that.
You probably don't.
And then the last one is the Petrifying Bite from the third head. Also attack 3 to hit, 1d4 plus 1 piercing damage. Must succeed a 10 con save or be restrained as it begins to turn to stone. Repeats the save at the end of its next turn. If it fails again, it's petrified for 10 minutes. So, low saves, but just another nuisance on the battlefield.
Something else you got to deal with.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm still a huge fan of reading it, terrified of coming up against it. Of you failed the DC 15 con save? Bye, Felicia.
You did.
You did.
So that's definitely a cool one on there to see that in there. But yeah, lots of really cool, interesting monsters on here. There are some bigger ones that they're pretty cool thematically, but we just liked the flavor and the abilities of these ones that we chose.
A lot more unique stuff in terms of what they can do.
Yes. So cool monsters on here. Definitely good for scary, horror, terrifying campaigns because these things can. Some of them you want to just run away from.
Mess you up.
So yeah, that'll be it for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification so our new videos are coming out. Always leave your comments down below. And as always, thanks for watching.